Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United podcast. We're up and running. Manchester United kicked off our season in style. 4-0 spanking of Chelsea at Old Trafford has brought the Ollie feel-good factor flowing back. I'm your host, TC, and I'm joined by, I presume, a very happy co-host, Scott. How you feeling, pal?
Very well, pal. How are you?
I'm on top of the world, mate. Thank you very much.
As usual.
Yes, mate. Positive coming from all angles yesterday, Scott. What a way to start the season.
Yeah, given by our predictions, it was at least twice as good as we could both have imagined. So, can't be unhappy with that, can we?
No, we can't. 4-0 against one of our top 6 rivals for the season. We've obviously put a massive dent in the feel-good factor that Chelsea previously had with Frank Lampard taking charge.
Definitely. We just seem to ooze class and calmness throughout the whole squad, and I really hope this is a sign of things to come, pal.
Yes, I do too. Let's have a look at the lineup. As you say, was a very positive lineup from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. David De Gea started in goal and he skippered the side, as you predicted he might do, Scott.
Yep.
Were you happy with that? How do you think he wore the armband?
I thought he was great. I really did. I think it was almost back to the Dave that we're used to. A few times that he was made to make saves that maybe at the end of last season he might have not made so routinely. I was just really happy to see him get a bit of confidence back, and it seems like he's enjoying having a defence in front of him that isn't so porous.
Yes, and we did mention that it might help him refocus and it might help him be a bit more commanding with that armband on. I thought it did. Mm-hmm. I thought it did give him that air. It was lovely seeing him lead the boys out. Mm-hmm. And let's hope he gets that contract sorted sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it seems to have gone quiet on that recently, so let's hope we're surprised in the next couple of days.
Yes. So De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka started at right back. Victor Lindelof partnered Harry Maguire for his debut in the centre of defence, and Luke Shaw started on the left, first choice back five. Pogba and McTominay started in midfield with Lingard, Pereira and Rashford in front of them, and Martial leading the line back in his number 9. Another thing we discussed many weeks ago, Scott. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about seeing him back in the number 9 shirt?
I'm really happy with it. You can actually tell from his social media names that is probably his preferred number, even when he got changed to 11. And it certainly wasn't his decision to move to 11. It was when Zlatan came in and took that number 9. So, I think a happy Anthony Martial is much more productive than an unhappy one. So if we can keep him as happy as possible, we're going to get the best output.
Yeah, and we will discuss Anthony Martial shortly. So that was a lineup. There was Pereira was pushed to the right, Lingard in number 10. They were a bit more interchangeable, with Rashford and Martial being slightly interchangeable too. Mm-hmm. Pogba actually started deeper with McTominay, and he was actually on the right of the two most of the time, which is normally the other way round, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Pogba on the left. So that was a lineup, quite a positive lineup, full of energy and not putting in some of the older heads.
When you win 4-0, you get to look at the team and think that every decision was made correctly. And I think that's exactly the position we're in right now. We just started with a lot of intensity, a lot of physicality. And it was great to see, as much as Rashford and Martial were interchanging, I think that Jesse and Andreas were interchanging as well. And it's just a nightmare for defenders to try and pick up,
I think so. There is a lot more fluidity to this team. Mm-hmm. And the starting lineup, it did have many players who can interchange. And it included 5 academy graduates in the starting 11, almost half the team.
Wonderful.
Which is fantastic.
And the youngest team throughout the whole Premier League that started this weekend.
You're right, 24 years and 227 days average age of the team. So superb stuff in terms of the result, but also the fact that Ollie is being true to his word, bringing through the youth, bringing dynamism, bringing that front foot mentality back, and it was reflected in the lineup. Let's just touch on the bench quickly. We had Mata, Ashley Young, Dan James, Sergio Romero, Greenwood, Matic and Tuanzebe. No Smalling or Jones on the bench. Tuanzebe on there instead.
Or Marcus Rojo. Pretty surprising.
Yes. So 2 academy graduates on the bench too. So 7 in the squad to start the day. Very positive stuff in terms of Ollie. We'll just quickly run through the Chelsea lineup. I'll be honest with you, Scott. When I saw the Chelsea lineup, I was licking my lips. Yeah. I was thinking, we'll have a piece of this. Yeah. They had Kepa in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Zuma returning to the centre of defence. They had Emerson, Jorginho, Kovacic, Pedro, Mount, Barkley, Tammy Abraham up front. So, it looked weak. There was no Kante, as we discussed on the Friday show. Pulisic didn't start either. Giroud replaced Abraham on 66, but it didn't scream danger, that lineup from Fat Frank, did it?
No, it didn't. As soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, if we can't beat this team, then we got serious problems. To be perfectly honest with you, they actually started pretty well, the better of the two. And my, initial decision when I saw Abraham leading the line was to think that, again, if Maguire and Lindelof can't take care of Abraham, then we got serious problems. It wasn't quite to be, but it was a pretty hairy start.
Yeah, I think they were right looking after Abraham, mate. He did hit the post, though.
That's what I mean, yeah.
He did hit the post, and they also hit the post and then the bar from Emerson from close range too. So they did have a few chances early days, but we grabbed another penalty, didn't we, pal?
Yeah.
Rashford jumping onto Lingard again, pressing the Chelsea defence. Rashford cutting back on Zuma, Stonewaller, no need for VAR.
No, there definitely wasn't. If anything, it was a really good advantage that was being played by the referee, because there probably could have been a foul a couple of seconds beforehand. I'm really enjoying seeing Marcus Rashford being on penalty duty full time. I think it's a much better reflection of the goals scored in our team. When, if we're going to get 10 penalties like we did last year, I think it would be a much better distribution of goals if he's going to be getting them,
Yeah, so Rashford did take the penalty, and it was pretty much a carbon copy of that magic moment in Paris, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Swift run up and smash it in the top corner. He did win the penalty. Now, the last few penalties that have been taken by people other than Pogba has been won by the player who took it. Jesse Lingard at Cardiff, Rashford again, and then in Paris, obviously, Pogba wasn't on the field. Rashford was actually interviewed about this after the game, and he said he's not actually on full-time penalty duty. They're actually sharing it around. And he made a good point, and it's actually a point we made a while back. Remember, we were discussing Pogba having different styles of penalty, different techniques to keep the goalkeeper guessing. Now, this is what Rashford was saying. Listen, we've got 4 or 5 people who are confident, and we're going to share it round. And what it means is that their keeper does not have so much info on us.
Yeah.
And it's a really good point, because keepers these days, you look at now we know where Rashford's going, don't we?
Yeah.
So now Rashford's got a decision as to whether he changes. Remember when Ruud van Nistelrooy did that?
Yeah.
He went that way all the time, and just once in a while he'd slide it the other way, and the keeper's gone 10 minutes early, and it just rolls in the other side. But you do have to juggle it up if you're taking them all the time. If you're switching it around for different people in the team, if they're good enough, I think it's a fantastic idea.
It is. It definitely is. And a good way to show the unity of the team by not having such a strict, regimented taker.
Yeah, and you are right. It is nicer for our strikers to be picking up those extra goals, because as we say, if you deduct Pogba's goals from the penalty spot last season, suddenly the stats don't look so good. But look, all positivity today, pal. Rashford spanked it home 1-0 to us. Old Trafford absolutely bouncing. Let's be absolutely honest with you. The goal really changed things, didn't it?
It did. It was nothing more than we really deserved, I don't think. I really think that we started with a lot of positivity. We had the ball in high areas, and we had some great spells of possession. I know that they had a lot more overall possession than us. They had more shots on goal and more shots in general. But I think that we were rewarded for our efforts in the first half by that goal.
We were. And you did mention, actually, that it was superb advantage by Anthony Taylor, the ref. It really, really was great stuff. And didn't use VAR, which I love too. And we'll have a little chat about VAR later. So let's go through the goals. Martial on the sheet in number 9. 65th minute. We got pushed a little bit wide, didn't we? It looked like we were in. Pushed wide. Lingard off to Pereira. Very, very David Beckham-esque, wasn't it, pal?
It definitely was, yeah.
Whipping it in, curling it round the defender, into Anthony Martial. Off balance. You can't stop him that way.
No, it's the kind of finish you really want from your number 9.
You do.
Had the strength to be able to hold off the defender, and also the little bit of luck that you need to be a proper number 9. It's not an easy position. You're judged so easily on the goals you score. And I thought it was a great finish from the position that he was in and the speed that the cross came over.
It was absolutely superb. And you know what, just before I forget to mention it, there was just a couple of signs again of the old French connection coming back. The old Martial-Pogba link up. They linked up for the 4th, didn't they? It was nice to see, and it's something we forget about when they do link up. They're blooming amazing together, those two.
They really are. They're head and shoulders above everyone else. It was actually a great build-up as well. It felt like we were one end to the other in a matter of seconds, and I think taking the lead in the first half allows us to play more counter-attacking football in the second half. Given the speed that we can just break instantly, it's definitely the best place for us to play.
Yes. Yeah, it was tactically, Ollie was spot on Sunday, we have to say. He was really good, and he was very good at changing in the game as well, adapting to what was in front of us. But he didn't need to change much after the Martial goal. It was kind of like 1999. Everyone was still going bananas from Martial putting through. And then Pogba decided to get his magic wand out again. Over the top. Sensational touch from Marcus Rashford. Slid it home for a 3rd. Old Trafford went absolutely potty.
Outrageous goal. Really was. You're right. Pogba just pulled that out of nowhere. And it was an absolutely pinpoint ball. no question about offside. I think Rashford played the end of the line really well and showed the confidence and just perfect timing of everything, right? He saw the keeper coming out. Maybe a couple of years ago, Marcus Rashford would have tried to go around the keeper or try to do something instead of just sliding it past him as effortlessly as he did. And it was a really great goal to watch.
It really was. It was an absolutely wonderful bit of play. Rashford playing on the last man, Pogba, and you know what? It was like the United of old. Smell a bit of blood and kill the target.
Yeah.
Let's get this game over with.
And
and that's exactly what we did. Killed it dead. Rashford wheeling away, and we're in seventh heaven. Absolutely delightful stuff. Really, really magic. And then Danny James, he was on in the 74th minute for Pereira. Pogba and Martial linked up in the 81st. Really, really lovely play again. Martial, a little touch inside. Pogba picking up in his own half. It looked like he was away. He got tracked down, cut back. Really, really, really good stuff from Pogba. Slid it through to Danny James. Danny James, little dummy, unleashed his shot, took a deflection. First goal on his debut at Old Trafford. And he went bananas with his celebration, didn't he, bud?
Yeah, it was exactly what you and I would do if we scored at the Stretford end.
It really is.
And it all came from a Maguire clearance.
It didn't.
We can't downplay how important those clearances are and how he's the first line of the attack when he's getting these clearances out. But that Pogba 60-yard lung-busting run was something which was just such a relief for me to see, because that shows his commitment to the team. We're sitting there with 3-0 up, and he could have tried something, a bit out of the ordinary, a bit Paul Pogba-esque, and he just put his head down and went straight up and was rewarded with another assist, and definitely something he deserved.
Yeah, and 2 assists for Pogba today. Top-class assists as well, both of them. You have to say. Really, really good. So, mate, 4-0. That was pretty much it. Mason Greenwood came on the 86th for Rashford. Overall, mate, couldn't have asked for more in the first day of the season, could you?
You definitely couldn't. Definitely couldn't. Clean sheets, let's not underestimate that as well. I said last week, I think it was, that I think an early goal for Daniel James will really benefit his career in the long run. It's the kind of thing that if he had taken a month or 2 months to score, there might be whispers, the media get on everyone's back, obviously. So I'm really hoping that will give him the ability and the confidence to kick on from there. But I was really happy to see Maguire and Wan-Bissaka seamlessly get involved with that defence, mate. And they really made Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof much better, and De Gea as well.
Yes, and you touched on something there. If you could have written the script for yesterday, look, you got Daniel James' debut goal. You got Rashford on 2 goals already for the season. You got Martial on a goal already for the season. Pereira's got an assist. Pogba's got a couple of assists. Harry Maguire's already got a bottle of champagne in his cupboard.
Yep.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka's got a clean sheet. David De Gea's got a clean sheet. So, the cobwebs of last season brushed away, maybe by Wan-Bissaka. So, overall, when you look at the positives, as I said at the top of the show, they're coming from all angles, pal. I mean, let's have a look at some stats. Number one stat I'm going to go for is kilometres. 107.89 for United, 106.63 for Chelsea. The reason I highlight that first is last season and the season before, we've been outrun a hell of a lot, haven't we, pal? Yeah. And this is back to what we need to be, outrunning and outplaying our rivals.
Yeah, the more effort wins more games. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because look, possession-wise, 46-54 in Chelsea's favour. That was a bit higher early in the game as well.
Yeah.
11 shots to us, 18 to Chelsea. On target, 5 for us, 4 of which were goals, thank you very much. 7 for Chelsea. 3 corners for us, 5 for Chelsea. We are a lot better at scoring from other people's corners, aren't we, than our own. That is definitely true.
Yeah, that is true. And I think as well, in the past, we've conceded more goals from our corners than we've scored them, which is awful. But it was actually interesting as well, seeing the old England corner routine almost, where they stand 4 in a line, and then just when the corner taker is running up, they sort of disperse into different directions. And it actually seemed like we had a proper strategy for set pieces. Looks like Maguire is far post and he nods it back over across everyone.
Yes.
It's a long time coming, mate, because we get so many set pieces, attacking corners, that we need to start scoring more from them.
Of course we do. It's bananas. It's bonkers, mate. Absolute bonkers. 15 fouls to 13 to us. We made 10 tackles to their 9. 13 aerial duels to their 9. So stats-wise, doesn't look like a 4-0 game.
I couldn't care less.
It doesn't matter, Scott. It really doesn't matter. Tactically, we played them for fools. One thing I will touch on, Harry Maguire debut, his stats. 4 interceptions, 2 recoveries, 5 duels won, 2 duels lost. Aerial battles, 4 won, 2 lost. 57 passes, 3 long balls. Dribble pass 0 times. Fouls 0. Goals conceded 0.
Yeah, fantastic stats, and something which doesn't come up in stats was just how calm he was throughout everything. I don't think we've had a top class central defender since Rio and Vidic,
No.
and to have someone just so classy and, as I say, makes everything look so effortless, makes the right decisions as well.
Yes, he did look like a throwback, didn't he? Especially in his all black boots.
Yeah.
He certainly looked like a throwback. Actually, I think he was with Nike before, and he's actually blacked out his Nike boots now. So it's thought he's going to move to Adidas, which would endear himself to the hierarchy, no doubt. But superb stuff from Harry Maguire. Any other standouts before I start getting a man of the match or two out of you, Scott?
Yeah, I think we've got to talk about Wan-Bissaka as well.
Of course we do.
He got himself into some fantastic positions and managed to hug the right touchline over there, as Luke Shaw likes to hug the left-hand touchline. And when you actually have attacking fullbacks who create an attacking threat, you stretch the whole opposition, and that's when you can pick out these little pockets of space that we managed to find. Was getting great positions, was stretching the opposition really well, and it just seems harder and harder to get by him, mate. You can't seem to get past him.
It's next to impossible. Paul Parker, one of our old heroes from back in the 90s, right back himself, he actually said Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best Premier League right back. He said, forget Alexander, Trent Arnold. He said, fullback, first and foremost, is defending, and Wan-Bissaka is the best defender out of all the right backs in the league. You can't deny that. He blooming is.
Yeah, and it's quite surprising as well because he's only 21 years old. 50 million quid is now actually looking like really quite cheap, or at least money well spent, and it's very hard to say that for a lot of our signings.
Yeah, and then of course Paul Parker would say that defending's what it's all about. He scored that one goal against Reading, didn't he, back in the day?
Yeah, I think he scored against Tottenham as well, didn't he? Or was that an assist? I'm not sure.
He scored a blinder against Reading. I think it was with his left foot.
Yeah.
I don't think he scored for about 8 years before that. But what a player as well, Paul Parker. Superb. Any other standouts for you, mate? You obviously got Paul Pogba with 2 assists. You got Rashford with 2 goals.
Yeah, I've got to say David De Gea as well was almost back to his usual self, which is just like having a brand new signing.
Yeah, it is. And it's a collective, I think, Scott. It's not just, De Gea looks like he's back. He looks like he's back stature-wise. Harry Maguire looks like he's come in and spread confidence. Victor Lindelof looks like he's gone, okay, is this the way we're doing it now? Okay, we'll do it this way. Fantastic. My confidence is going up too. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's come in.
Yeah.
No one's getting down the right wing.
Yeah.
As a unit, and I will go throughout the team as well with this, we're all looking more united. We really are. In terms of the huddles after the goals, people talking to each other seriously. It wasn't happening at the end of last season, mate. It really wasn't. So that's something where you can't quantify it. You can't say, that's the influence he's having. But when you're watching, when you've been a fan for decades like we have, you see the change in energy and you go, yeah, I like the look of this.
You're absolutely right. You could see it, the unity within the squad with the celebrations for the goals. I really loved Scott McTominay's commitment and just...
He almost went more bananas than Daniel James, hugging him. Yeah. He was roaring like blooming mad too. And I'm sure you were too, Scotty. One player who has had a little bit of criticism from some of our fans, and also Jose Mourinho was up in the Sky Sports pundit box. I thought it was quite interesting, actually, some of the stuff he had to say.
I thought it was more interesting that Stretford End was serenading him. I don't know if it was just to wind up Chelsea or to show there are no hard feelings, but it was a bridge I didn't think we were going to be crossing this soon.
I think winding up Chelsea and trying to show that we're more classy than them, I think, realistically. But he was all right. He spent most of the time digging out Lampard, but he did have a little pop at Luke Shaw, saying that Maguire's going to have to get used to covering him, which, you do have to cover your fullback. But one thing I will say about Luke Shaw, and this is not me digging him out at all, is Luke Shaw, in your opinion, a defensive left-back or an attacking left-back?
I would definitely say he's an attacking left wing-back.
Okay, so the problem I've got with this, Scott, is, and I was thinking about this last night, going forward, he's not very good.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of the matter, and he hasn't been for a couple of years. And so what we've got an attacking fullback who basically just defends all game.
Yeah.
When he does go forward, it's not like... if you've got an attacking fullback who's going to be a bit ropey at the back, no problems. If he's whipping an assist, scoring goals, Shaw doesn't score any goals, doesn't make any assists. So this is the one thing I'm thinking about Shaw. He has to either, and obviously Wan-Bissaka is going to be highlighting this because Wan-Bissaka doesn't let anyone pass on the right. So that's his job. Wan-Bissaka is a defensive fullback. He's got that locked down, and anything he gives going forward is a bonus. Whereas Luke Shaw, really, it should be the other way round, but it's not. So it's something that the months go by and you think, hang about. He's meant to be an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do too much attacking.
I don't know. I think he's still massively affected by that horrible broken leg that he suffered a few years ago. I think that kind of killed his main game, which was his turn of pace and his acceleration. He was one of the quickest fullbacks you've seen before that. And it's maybe as well a mental thing as well that he doesn't throw himself into as many tackles that he used to because of that injury. And it's interesting as well, listen to Mourinho's comments, because I remember he used to stand on that touchline and scream at Luke Shaw for not getting forward more and more.
Yeah.
So of course the centre-back's going to have to cover him. It's that way normally, right? I think he's just sour grapes, mate.
Yeah. I do agree in terms of Mourinho, but what I'm thinking, as I say, my thoughts are that, look, I'm not digging Luke Shaw out. It's just that he needs to be more productive now.
Yeah.
He's got Player of the Year last year. Let's get some assists. Let's get some goals in there and crack on. So, mate, let's get to your favourite part as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Got man of match for me. First of all, I'll go through. So Sky Sports, they gave the man of match to Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
That was Jose Mourinho. What I will say about Sky Sports dishing out a man of the match award is they will quite often give it to the person they want to interview.
Yeah.
If they hadn't given it to Harry Maguire, they wouldn't have been able to interview him. So they gave it to Maguire so they could get the debutant in interview. BBC Sport gave it to Marcus Rashford. Manchester United gave it to Marcus Rashford as well.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, you're the man that everyone's waiting for the man of the match. Forget the rest of them. How many bottles of champagne you got for me today?
I think I've got about 14.
Come on, mate.
But I'm only going to give one out. Yeah, I'm going to give it to Marcus Rashford, pal.
Okay.
I thought he was fantastic. His touches, his link-up play with Martial, turn of pace, he just made the right decisions a lot. And I just think now we're going in about 6-7 months of him getting taught and him getting coached by the most predatory striker we've ever had. And it's really benefiting his entire game.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, the way Ollie, who is an out-and-out striker himself, is basically, he's willing to change what must be his sort of instincts as to have loads of like proper strikers. And what he's really going for now is a lot of people who aren't strikers, are people who are between a winger and a striker, and he's happy to go with it. He's happy with the fluidity. That's what I like about Ollie. He's stubborn when he needs to be, but he's also very, very fluid, very flexible. And I think we're starting to see a bit of that as well.
Let's not forget how well he used to play on the right when he'd be asked to. And he would be a striker on the right instead of a winger over there. And, when you're trying to stick the ball in the top corner or in the bottom corner as accurately as they do, it's quite easy just to stick it in the middle of the box. So I think that Marcus Rashford is benefiting hugely from Solskjaer's coaching and just his belief in him as well. And he's not digging him out for little things that he didn't do. He's more praising him for the stuff that he did do. And it's really benefiting him.
Yes. Personally, I actually would go with Sky Sports, despite what I said. I would go with Harry Maguire. Yeah. I think if you took Maguire out of that team, it would have more of an effect than taking anyone else out of the team on the day.
For sure.
So, I do agree. There's probably some bias there. There's probably some bias that it's his first game and all eyes are on him, and you are focusing on. But the stats don't lie. And the truth is, it wasn't really a 4-0 game in terms of sort of the flow of the game. It was more like a sort of 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a 2-0, no one would be complaining at all about Maguire getting man of the match. It's just that we got those extra 2 goals, so it looks a bit funny. But personally, I would go with Harry Maguire.
Yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other kind of question.
Sorry to interject, but it's better than last season when, at the end, you were refusing to give man of the matches, weren't you?
Oh, mate, and not even that. We're standing at the player of the season thinking, God, I just don't know who we could even... I don't know if we've got anyone who's played well enough to be better than everyone else. And here we are saying that there's 3 or 4 players who could have realistically got man of the match. It's a completely different kettle of fish. And, this is the perfect way to start, right? And we sort of got this momentum when Ollie came in, and it was such a change from what Mourinho was bringing that one win just turned into 2, into 3, into 4, and just the belief. We were just like a rolling stone. And it's sort of the same sort of thing when Fergie used to say, winning one trophy just spurs on more because, you enjoy the celebration so much and, being with the lads in a good environment and blah, blah, blah. And it just would have been so different for Wan-Bissaka, for Harry Maguire and Daniel James as well if we say hadn't won this game. And you can hear sort of the murmurs around Old Trafford. But here we are. Old Trafford was absolutely rocking. And this is the kind of result and performance that's going to inspire them to bring more in,
You're right, Scott, actually. You think about back when we were trying to put a team together to get back challenging. And we won the League Cup, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And we wore the get well soon smudge because Alan Smith had injured himself at Anfield a few weeks before. And if you then go forward a few years, you see Chelsea. Chelsea did exactly the same. Mourinho came in, he won the League Cup with them, and then that propelled them on to their success, titles, and whatever else. City did the same, didn't they? So, winning a League Cup, winning an FA Cup, it pushes you on. And that yeah, it's a very good point, mate. And look, that is the momentum we want back in the club. And I will say, I felt we're very different to other clubs, United. When we get a little smell of the old atmosphere, a smell of the old United way, we all go wild again.
Yeah.
So after yesterday, I'm really positive about the fact that if we can just get some positivity on the pitch again, the fans, we're going to push them on. We will push them on because we're a special club. A really, really special club.
Of course. And it also, you have to say, goes the other way, that we're a club with a fan base that's really hard to please. We've gone out this summer, we've spent 55 million on a full-back, we spent 85 million on a centre-back, we've broken the world record, and yet we're still protesting against the owners not spending enough money. So, listen, I'm not opening that can of worms right now, but you do have to sit back and say that sometimes we are really hard to please as well.
We are, and so we should be to an extent, but we should also be supportive as well. And we are great supporters. Old Trafford's magic. And it was magic yesterday.
It really was.
Let's have a chat about Paul Pogba. He was the last player to leave the pitch yesterday, applauding all four corners of the field. Got a rousing reception as he left the field. Performance-wise first, what do you think of Pogba yesterday, mate?
I would have given him 8.5 out of 10, maybe. I think that he doesn't particularly like the defensive responsibilities of the two holding midfielders, but he did it really well. He got forward when he could. Some of the passes he pulled off were just outstanding. And I think that he actually gives a lot of confidence to Scott McTominay as well, at least a fully committed one. I think that we've unfortunately had the displeasure of seeing Paul Pogba when he's not fully committed. So seeing him when he is just a breath of fresh air, mate.
What about his attitude, mate?
His attitude?
Yeah, what about his attitude? What do you think?
Again, I think that compared to what we were putting up with in the end of last season, this was night and day. I think he's just being really professional, and long may it continue, pal.
He was more disciplined in his play as well, I thought.
Yeah.
This is the thing with Pogba. When people say, he always gives 100%, he doesn't. No. Because there's a very, very obvious difference between this Paul Pogba and the Paul Pogba when he's being naughty and he's not trying. There's a really big...
Paul Pogba giving 100% is twice as good as anyone else on the field, no matter who we play.
100%.
And so it's a very silly comment to say that because...
he is.
Obviously not you, but it's very silly to say that he gives 100% as much as he does, because if he did, we wouldn't be in the position we're in.
Yeah, and he did give an interview after the game. It was in French. He gave it to RMC. Now, the quotes have been regurgitated in the English press of him saying there's still a question mark. There remains a question mark. I watched the interview, Scott, and it wasn't like the interview in Japan. It wasn't like the interviews he gave when he was trying to shaft Mourinho.
Definitely not.
The energy that he was giving off, the attitude he was giving off, the smiles were to go with, the stuff saying, I'm enjoying the match with my teammates. I'm enjoying in Manchester. I am Manchester. He actually said, Je suis Manchester. So yes, this is what I like to do, Scott. I don't like to, I'll read quotes and then I'll go to the video. I'll see the actual quotes come out the person's mouth and then make a judgment on that. And it didn't seem that he was trying to cause a problem. He was just answering a question. Yeah,
some of these interviews, they get misconstrued even when they're talking the same language. So when they're talking a different language, sometimes they get completely mistranslated. And, a lot more newspapers get sold when there's a bit more controversy in there.
Oh, you can make up any story you want. You know the way different languages, you just take sort of any different language and the sentences are different. Yeah. They've got a different makeup.
Yeah.
And so when you're translating it, you can make it sound that it's a very incendiary interview. But when it's not at all, he's just batting the questions away in a different language.
For sure, and I did as well read his comments, and it's much better him saying that there's a question mark above his future, which there is. Lest we forget, until the European transfer window is slammed shut, there is a question mark. But it's much better than him saying that he needs a new challenge and he's not committed in this and that.
Yes. Now, look, we're going to move on to VAR and some of the other rival games as well. But just a little pointer: if you thought you enjoyed that Rashford second goal, United's third. Have a listen to the Manchester United highlights on YouTube and see if you enjoyed it as much as Paddy Crerand did. Did you ever listen to that, Scott? I know
I did
yesterday. Was he behaving himself there or not?
I don't know, mate. There are a few times you listen to Paddy and you think, God, has he been on the few beers or what?
Dear me.
I think that might have been one of those, yeah.
It was fantastic. It was
And
fantastic.
how nice was it, honestly, to hear the Ole's back? The fact we're 4-0 up, 89th minute, and each pass is being celebrated with a quick Ole, and I don't think that's happened at Old Trafford for years, mate.
No. And it's double meaning as well, which is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, love that.
So look, going into Sunday, we thought we thought it was much more of the same. Liverpool beat Norwich 4-1 on the Friday night. City beat West Ham 5-0 on the Saturday. Spurs fought a spirited Aston Villa. John McGinn, he's an all right player after all, isn't he?
He's not bad, yeah.
Spurs beat them 3-1. Arsenal dispatched Newcastle 1-0. And obviously we put away Chelsea 4-0. So that's the top six. Liverpool and City looking ominously powerful again. Did you have the misfortune of seeing the VAR debacle at the London Stadium?
Which one, mate? Oh, that one, yeah, I did.
God.
I did. I think a lot of this stuff's got to be ironed out. I think this past weekend was probably the worst it's going to be because, it's the first time referees are using it. They didn't want to make mistakes, and then as well as it's something that's going to be really criticised a lot and scrutinised a lot this weekend. And I think that it's only going to get easier from here, pal.
Yeah, it was very bizarre, wasn't it? And this is the thing when you're talking about very, very small margins. I mean, we used to sing your teeth are offside to Luis Suarez, so shame he's not still in the Premier League. But you know what? Andy Gray actually made a good point over the weekend, and it's something we've discussed, I know, in the past, is that when do you stop the video for VAR? So when someone's playing a through ball, when do you, because the ball stays on the foot. The ball stays on the foot for a few split seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, if we're going down to centimetres, then that's very, very important as to when you stop that video.
Yeah.
Because you can put it forward a frame and it's still on his foot. And he was saying he knows there's 25 frames per second. So it's a complicated one, mate. I've been an opposer all along. I know you're an embracer. Are you still with it, mate? Are you still sticking with VAR?
Yeah, I am. I think it got the decisions right at the end of the day. Raheem Sterling, whether he's an inch offside or a mile offside, he was still offside. There was another instance a few minutes later that it was actually allowed, and I think that it's getting the decisions right. Obviously, there was a bit of a farce with the penalty, but how many players were encroaching in the box? And I think that's going to stop that as well.
And to be fair, the guy who cleared it was encroaching.
Yeah.
So he was in the box, so he was affecting play. So I can go with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind those ones so much, the penalties and stuff. It's when you're stopping play and then going back and taking a minute or two to assess a borderline decision. That's where I've got more of a problem with it. But things change in life, don't they, mate? And sometimes you just got to go with it and hope it benefits United in the long run. So yeah, look, our rivals all winning. And one more mention, we've got another Premier League player now, Dean Henderson, our keeper on loan at Sheffield United, made his Premier League debut. Unlucky not to keep a clean sheet. He made an absolutely wonderful save that led to Bournemouth's first, actually, their goal. He made a really wonderful save and he could do nothing about the rebound. Mm-hmm. Wasn't his fault at all. Pushed it away from goal. I thought he looked really, really composed and I was delighted to see him Premier League, mate.
I was too. I definitely echo those sentiments.
Yeah, really good stuff. And that's a nice one for the future, isn't it? If we've got Dean Henderson playing week in, week out, we can assess him. He's an English player. Obviously, we've got Brexit coming up. It's nice to have, and like I mentioned before, when he plays against us, he won't play. And when he plays against our rivals, he will play.
Yeah, I've got high hopes for Dean Henderson, mate. I really do.
Yeah, me too. So look, a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It only got better, really. Premier League 2, the under-23s, played in Kidderminster against West Bromwich Albion on the Friday night. Angel Gomez, Tahith Chong were not available for the 23s because now they're part of the first team squad. But the 23s triumphed 5-0. Largi Ramanzi, Damani Mella, James Garner with 2, and Dylan Levitt with a penalty. So James Garner starring for the under-23s at 5-0 winners against West Brom. Lovely stuff.
Mate, his goals were outrageous.
Beautiful, right?
The first one especially was outrageous. And that pass that he put through that led to the first goal, I think it was, Ramanzani's goal, was outrageous too. 60-yard pinpoint ball that if that had come off the foot of De Bruyne or Pogba or any of those, you'd be lauding it as one of the best passes of the season.
Yeah, they've got. If he keeps on scoring like this, they've got to stop comparing him to Carrick, haven't they? Come on, it's like one every 3 years for Mike. Mm-hmm. Under-18s were in action on Saturday at the Aon Training Complex, Carrington. Again, the 3-0 winners: Charlie McCann with a penalty, Anthony Alanga and Charlie Wellens dispatching Sunderland 3-0. Harvey Neville coming on late on as well for the 18s. So an average of 4 goals a game, clean sheet in all of them, 12 goals, 3 games. What are you worried about, Scott?
I'm not worried about anything anymore, mate.
Fantastic stuff, mate. Absolutely wonderful. Let's hope we can keep this wonderful momentum up, Scott. Remember to subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, and all the podcast apps. Follow us at United 100 Podcast on Instagram too. Be sure to spread the word about the 100% United pod to your fellow United fans. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, pal.
Thanks for listening, Reds. Cheerio.
Ta-ra.